Good morning, everyone. Grade 10C and 10B, boys, welcome to our class. I have explained you last class about the ecology that I couldn't finish, that I have explained you about energy flow, the energy pyramid. I told you about the types of nutrient cycle, like water cycle, carbon cycle, nitrogen cycle, and I told you about the population size, sigmoid growth curve, and also we have discussed about the causes of increasing human birth rate, and also the social implication of increasing population. We had a discussion about the conservation, sustainable resources, sustainable development, and we told you about the recycling, why it is so important, and how the paper has recycled, method of conservation, especially conserving forest, coppiching, clear filling, and we also had a talk about the method of conserving fish stock. And what is extinction, boys? See, extinction means the permanent loss of all members of a species, such as dinosaurs. Before extinct, both population sizes and genetic diversity fell down. And what are the reasons so that conservation programs are so important? We had a talk about that and why organisms become extinct. If they do not have that food, that there is a competition for food, water and space, pollution, and the destruction of the habitat, severe hunting or diseases, more predator, introduction of that foreign species. These are all the reasons that organism could extinct, and how endangered species can conserve. You know that about the captive breeding program. We had a talk about that, and you can monitor and protect the species in the natural habitat. And one of the important thing I told you about educating the local people, okay, which is very important to increase their awareness and to understand the value of the conservation. And we had a talk about the advantages of captive breeding, these advantages of captive breeding, and why what is the requirement for sustainable development. These all we discussed on last class. Today, I want to talk about food supply and pollution. See, long back, the amount of crops was not so so much like present time. In that time, the number of the population in the whole world was less, and the amount of crops, even I have seen maybe 2-3 times they are collecting the crops from the field. But now the modern technology has resulted in an increased food production. So this is the one of the topic in our syllabus that explain how that by using the modern technology we have increased our that amount of crops. So first of all, that before, if you go that long back, like near about 100 years before, you'll be seeing that people used to plow the land with the manually. Okay, so they are using that that cow. They're using that different kind of instrument. By using the hand, they used to that make the grain of the soil loosen. Okay, they used to they were use anchor, that different types of this kind of small instrument they are using. But now that days has gone. The agricultural machinery such as tractor and combine harvester, one farmer can cultivate a much greater area in the land within a shorter time than the manual labor. When I was in your age, you know, I have seen in my grandparents' house, I can still remember 30-40 people, labor used to work in my grandparents' house during the time when the crops has to come to the house. I have seen that manual labor they are doing, and my grandparents used to cook a lot of food to feed them, because all the people, they cut the, you know, that plants by themselves. They will hold this bunch on their head, and they will remove that paddy from the trees, okay, by the manually. So this type of work takes long time, okay, and you know that the amount of crops also less. But nowadays, by using agricultural machinery, one farmer can easily, by using the machine, they're making the that soil, they're preparing this whole field within a short time. And another technique that nowadays farmers are using, genetic engineering technique. They are, by using this, they are producing pest-resistant and pest-resistant plants, which also increase the yield. Development and use of the chemical fertilizer on the farmland. This type of, by using chemical fertilizer, this boosts up the levels of the nutrient in the soil, also increasing the amount of crops. Making greenhouses, like glass houses, the environmental condition in the country where it is not good for the plants to grow. So this type of, like the environmental condition in these places, you can manipulate it to have an optimum level of the factors. Hence the yield will be high, such as light intensity. You can maintain if the outside light if you can use artificial light. Temperature by using heater. Carbon dioxide, you can use the artificial gas that carbon dioxide get through a cylinder. You can increase, so that these are the limiting factor which limit the amount of crops. By increasing this, you can also increase the amount of crops so that the yield would be very high. So these are another technique that nowadays that amount of food, amount of crops has been increased compared to the previous time. These are all modern technology. And nowadays the farmers are using different types of plant hormones. So the plants are growing and the fruit production also faster. And also selective breeding. Selective breeding to produce new and improved variety for the crop plant or domestic animal by breeding them from individual desired characteristics. See, nowadays the cattle, fish, poultry, by doing the selective breeding that people are trying to breed the organism and trying to get the characteristics like high milk yield and high meat yield, and also that number of the fish is increasing quickly because they are giving the strain by doing the selective breeding so that they can grow very faster. And intensive livestock production. If you go to the poultry farm or any types of farmhouse, you'll be seeing the many that animals are keeping. Even the intensive livestock production, they have some negative impact also, but that I'll talk to you later. But in a simple area, the huge number of the lot of the cows, goats, or if you talk about the hens, chicken, these all they are keeping in small place, and they're getting more product from them. And top of that, they're using satellite to monitor the crop development, observe crop diseases, and also assess the need for additional fertilizers. Now, even though the modern technology has resulted in increased food production, after that, many people around the whole world, they are not getting their enough food, right? Malnutrition is a severe problem nowadays. So many area people are having too much food, and many area people are not having enough food also. So I heard that Bangladesh near about 17th time that there was a famine. So this famine or this shortage of food, there are few problems which can contribute this famine. What are the problems which can causes the severe food shortage problem that people will die due to the lack of food? See, nowadays this COVID-19, right? Already within a month, it has broken down the economical situation of many countries. People become jobless every day. And the super chain shops are closing. Many offices, factory, industry are closing. Garments industry totally that collapse. So now see, if one industry has been closed, related so many worker, right? And depending the worker family. So if the situation's going 2-3 months more, so that many people will starve. They will not have enough money to buy the essential food also. Forget about other essential things to survive. Minimum, you need the minimum amount of food to survive. So the problem which contribute to the famine, one of the few important that reason, the rapid rate of population, unequal distribution of the food. Suppose the people, those who have more food, they are not that ready to distribute this food to the poor people. Those who don't have, they don't have, and those who have, they're not ready to distribute. And in many parts of the world, globally and environment-wise, they're benefited. So they can cultivate the crops with a less price. So their food also growing more amount and the price also less. But that surplus amount, they are not distributing to other parts of the world where the food production is a problem. Climate change, natural disasters such as flood, which causes excessive rainfall or tsunami, that nowadays this another problem. Drought, waterlogged soil can become infertile due to the activity of the denitrifying bacteria. They will take the nitrogen soluble form, they will add to the this unreactive nitrogen to the atmosphere. So denitrifying bacteria, they will break down the nitrates. So the lack of nitrogen, plant will not grow properly because their physical growth, they need protein. So this protein has come from amino acid, which has been from the soluble nitrate, which has been they have been collected from the soil. And also the pollution and the pest, which damage the crop, shortage of water due to the that many nowadays that we are using the water for we are making dam, we are for the hydroelectricity, due to the that making the dam, the rivers, the natural flow are stopping. So this is the reason many area are not getting enough water. That's the reason that food production is not sufficient. Crops cannot grow well in that area. So if the soil become poor, which contain lack of inorganic iron or the fertilizers, this also create less amount of crops. Desertification due to soil erosion as a result of deforestation. And sometimes farmers do not have enough money to buy seeds, fertilizer, pesticides, or that machinery, that modern technology. By using modern technology, they will not be able to buy enough don't have the money to buy the machine to cultivate the crops in a scientific way. And another that important reason, that is increasing population, is also the correct for increasing population, that urbanization also extending, right? Making more buildings on the farmland. The development of town and cities makes less land available for the farmland. And also that nowadays people are using farmland to grow the cash crop instead of that staple food for the biofuel. So these are the all reasons that which continued this to famine. Now I told you that to get the profit, we're using intensive livestock production. So do you think, boys, that it is very helpful for our that organisms' lifestyle, intensive livestock production? Do you think it is healthy for the animals? I need the feedback from you all. Hello?
Yes. Yes, I didn't hear you. Can you say it again?
No, I'm asking you all that intensive livestock production is very profitable, right? But do you think it is very good for the organism, those who are keeping in this intensive livestock production? What is the negative impact?
This disease can spread very fast.
Yes. And also, see, there is a welfare issue, right?
They like in crowded conditions, they might suffer.
Yes, because there is welfare issue, right? In this crowded condition, every organism, they need minimum amount of space. So one after one, if you're keeping, it's not healthy for them. And also, their urine and their feces are washed out of the shed with the water. So these also sometimes this waste also mixed with the stream and river and supplies excessive nutrients like nitrogen and phosphate for the algae. That causes eutrophication. So that is another problem. So one problem is creating other problem also. And also they're releasing methane gas through their dung, right? So this also that release methane gas means you are contributing that greenhouse gases, right? Which might contribute the global warming. And that the area you are keeping this lots of cattle, cow, and all together, overgrazing can be a result. So too many animals, if you're keeping in one area, they will eat the grass down almost to the roots, and their hooves trample the surface soil into the hard layer. As a result, the rainwater will not penetrate the soil. So it runs off on the surface, carrying the soil with it, and the soil becomes eroded, leading desertification. So regular medication and antibiotics are given to stop the development of diseases. One of you told that disease can spread. So to stop this diseases, they're giving regular medication and antibiotic. This increases the risk of developing antibiotic resistance to the bacteria. So intensive system rely on the limited number of the breeds. So biodiversity decreases. It is profitable for the human being, but it is not good for the animals. And if you're thinking about the animal welfare, this intensive livestock production has a lot of negative impact on them. And now next, that topic according to our syllabus, that is what is monoculture, what is crop rotation. Crop rotation means, see boys, that different plants, they need different types of nutrient in different amount. So if you are cultivating same type of crops, a single species is grown on the land same year after year, so they will take that special type of nutrients which they need, and year after year the same type of nutrients has been taken by the plants. So this makes the land infertile, and slowly after that few years later, that crops will not grow properly in that land. So this type of cultivating process, when a crop of single species is grown on the same land year after year, this is called monoculture. And if you rotating, suppose you know that what happened after cultivating that one crops, farmers are keeping the land for 1 or 2 weeks like that. This is a resting period. After that, they start cultivating different types of crops. Suppose now rice, maybe lentil next time. After that, maybe jute. After that, different. So in a year, different crops they are cultivating to maintain the fertility of the land. So this is called crop rotation, which is really very important, because whenever you are rotating different types of crops, your biodiversity will maintain. But what happens if you are doing this monoculture year after year, the same species you are cultivating? See, monoculture, this is very efficient for the food production. So less land is required. You can cultivate in huge amount of crops, but this is the only, you can say the positive thing, but others all are negative thing, because monoculture reduces biodiversity. Only a few species can live where the crop is growing, because when the crop is growing on the field, it has to be that many insects are also supporting by the crop. So if the same plants are there, same type of animals will, that is insect will survive. And think about the predatory insect and the birds. These are the food wave and food chain related with the crops and insect, the birds and other organisms. So these all will hamper. The whole chain will break, right? That's why biodiversity will drop down. And you know, in monoculture, with the dense population of the single species, there will be a dense population, but only one species. And the repeated that planting of the same species are very susceptible to attack by insect or spread of fungal diseases, because same type of insect will be supported, and other insect which might need it to increase the biodiversity will decrease because they are not supported with the food and all. Farmer also use same type of pesticide and pest, and over time it will be resistant. And also it will washed out into the river, and you know this bioaccumulation problem. The amount was less, but when this small amount has been taken by the zooplankton has been eaten by the small fish has been eaten by the large fish, and large fish, when you will be taking this large fish, you will get a severe large amount of this kind of that heavy metals or the pesticide residue. Insecticide also farmers are using to kill some when they're using insecticide, some useful insects also are killing, right? Maybe these insects are needed for pollination. So along with the harmful insects, some useful insects also are killing. It also killed the predatory insect and spider that would help to reduce the pest. So it means that to get the benefits, you are that getting lots of these advantages also. And these all these all the problem will disrupt the food chain and the nutrient cycle. Fertilizers are required to maintain soil fertility. And this is very expensive and it can pollute surrounding groundwater due to leaching. It also reduces organisms' habitat and causes endangered and extinction of the species. And if I'm talking about the social, environmental, and economic implications of providing sufficient food for an increasing human global population, see, if economically we can say higher energy prices as a source are depleted, the gap between rich and poor becomes more evident because economical differences and environmental differences increase carbon emission, causes global warming, air pollution from factory, countries, industry, and social problem, unemployment due to reduced labor force in the rural area. So boys, these are the topic of food supply. Now I want to talk about the habitat destruction. Habitat destruction, that see, the increasing human population, they have greater demand on the necessary things, right? So to that fulfill that demand, modern technology means we need more raw materials for the manufacturing industry and the greater energy supplies. These are the one of the biggest reasons that habitats are destroying. And according to the demand, new factories, farmhouses are making. Intensive agriculture has destroyed many of their habitat. It means you need this one type of crops or few different types of variety of the plants you are growing on that. But variety of the plants which maintain the biodiversity has been destroyed. And livestock production, housing, fuel, timber for building, materials, industrialization, these are also the reason for habitat destruction. Urbanization, the development of town and cities, makes a great demand on the land, destroying natural habitat. And we also damage our habitat when we mine for natural resources like metal ores or the fossil fuels. We're destroying the huge amount of area for mining. We also add pollutants to the air, land, and water, which can kill the plants that normally could live there and change the habitat. And you know the deforestation, which means the removal of the trees or other vegetation from one area for the industrial agriculture or any other purposes. And actually, this is one of the most devastating ways in which humans have been changing the environment. And we had a talk about the deforestation. Now I want to talk about pollution. Now see, what is pollution? Any change in natural characteristics of environment due to chemical, physical, or biological reason, this is called pollution. Now, if we are talking about different types of pollution, which is the polluted our land and water, we will talk first untreated sewage. Detergent such as phosphate ion, organic substances, discarded rubbish, domestic or agricultural rubbish, fertilizers. This contain mainly nitrogen and phosphate, and you know the eutrophication problem. Chemical waste, pesticides including insecticides, herbicide, nuclear fallout. This can be the result of the leak from a nuclear power station or form of a nuclear explosion. Radioactive particles are carried by the wind or water and gradually settle in the environment. If the radiation has a long half-life, it remains in the environment and it is absorbed by the living organism. This radioactive materials, that accumulates and create bioaccumulation problem in the food chain and increases this mutation rate in the DNA, which may lead this cancer. Thermal pollution. Water is that regularly being supplied to the industry and nuclear reactor to keep them cool. The hot water returned back to the source decreases the concentration of dissolving oxygen because the solubility of the gases decreases, which increases with the temperature. And also oil pollution. See, when the crude oil run down from the oil tanker due to the accident or leakage, it forms a layer on the surface and damage the hydrophytes and aquatic organism. Seabird, sea otter, and the harbor seals were badly affected due to this reason. Now, boys, I told you about the effect of organic sewage. See, a large quantity of untreated sewage is discharged into the sea, and this causes eutrophication. This is because seaways contain high levels of phosphate, organic matter, bacteria, which allow the microscopic plant life to grow very rapidly. Seaways has been broken down by aerobic respiration by using oxygen, decrease the concentration of oxygen, resulting in the death of fish. Untreated seaways can lead to disease such as cholera, typhoid. And effect of pesticide. There are different types of pesticide which are, some are fat soluble, once the pesticide get into this organism, they are not removed this from their body. Instead, they will be passed on this to their next trophic level. Eventually, the top carnivore will have high amount of the concentration. I told you this is called bioaccumulation. This bioaccumulation damage the organisms, eggshell, many organisms like DDT, this damage the eggshell, so that organism offspring couldn't survive because their egg has broken down before this hatching, and slowly it will affect on the number of organisms and disrupted the food chain and food web. Because DDT is non-biodegradable, it kills many useful insect and microorganisms in soil, and such as nitrogen fixing bacteria. It also pollutes the water and disrupted the food chain, but we are using it as a pesticide. So to get the crops, we are inviting the problem. Now nowadays Earth is suffering for so many problems. Do you think these are all created by the environment or created by the human being? Excuse me. Hello, boys. The present problem.
Humans.
Human beings.
Humans. By human beings.
Do you think
Human
that
beings.
nature needs us or we need the nature?
We need the nature.
Yes. Now,
No,
I
nature
want
needs
to
us.
ask you, what is eutrophication?
Need to
Just
protect
2
the
lines,
nature.
tell me. Boys, I want the answer. What is eutrophication?
Destruction of habitat by humans.
No, that
No,
no,
eutrophication is not that.
What's that?
Is the enrichment of water bodies with
Oh, yeah.
nitrates and phosphates. This can caused by addition of fertilizer and detergent. What could be the effect of
Then
eutrophication?
the algae, I guess,
Yes, they will grow
grows.
faster, right?
They grow faster,
Rapidly.
which will reduce the oxygen.
No,
And
actually, no.
will
Algae will grow faster. That point is correct. And this as the nitrate, because I told you this is the enrichment of water bodies with nitrogen and phosphate. So as nitrogen level rises, algae reproduce rapidly. They use this nitrogen to make their extra protein for their growth. So too much growth of the algae creates algal bloom. And this algae prevents the light from penetrating further into the water. So submerged plant,
Covers
the top
the
level,
upper surface of the water body.
yes. Submerged plant cannot photosynthesize and they will die. The algae also die as they run out of the nitrates. So the bacteria, they will get more
They
food.
reproduce.
they get more food, so they
Yes.
reproduce.
Yeah,
Yes.
and the
They use up the
aquatic
oxygen, which
animals will
kills the
die.
fish.
Aquatic
Which
animals
kills
will
the
die.
aquatic animals. So then the bacteria going to get more food.
Yes.
So
So bacteria decay the dead plants and algae, releasing more nitrates and allowing the cycle to start again. The bacteria reproduce due to large amount of dead matter, and their respirers use up more oxygen for their aerobic respiration, and which reduce the dissolved oxygen level. And sometimes the water bodies become totally anoxic. So aquatic animals die due to lack of oxygen. So the animals, those who are living in that water condition, they have to migrate or they will die. So in a short way, if I'm telling you that effect of raw sea waste is like that: enrichment of the nutrients, more algae. So the submerged algae will die due to the lack of sunlight. It creates more it adds additional food sources for the bacteria. Bacteria will get this more food, so they will also start reproduction faster. So they will increase their number. More bacteria will respire aerobically. They use oxygen, and lack of oxygen kills the other organism, those who are living in the water, aquatic system. Now, I hope you understood this. Now, one common question in the past paper about the ecology, the effect of pollution of the air. See that we have 3 minutes, no problem. I will give you the link again. See, boys, pollutant, think about carbon dioxide. You will get it from the combustion of the fossil fuels, right? And the effect is carbon dioxide is a major greenhouse gas which causes global warming. And if we are talking about the carbon monoxide, this also are coming from the combustion of the fossil fuel, especially incomplete combustion. It will combine with oxygen with oxygen and form carboxyhemoglobin, reducing the oxygen carrying capacity in your body. So this carboxyhemoglobin will not give you enough energy because your body cell will not get the oxygen to break down the food molecule and to release energy, which is known as aerobic respiration. What the use of having this carbon monoxide? Carbon monoxide can't break down your food molecules. And another pollutant is methane, a landfill site, cattle farm, marshy areas, rice and paddy fields. You will get this methane. These are also greenhouse gas and causes global warming. And another very dangerous pollutant is sulfur dioxide. Burning coal will produce the sulfur dioxide, and this causes direct acid rain. Hydrocarbon, unburned car in the engine, it releases smoke particles and carbon dioxide. Nitrogen dioxide, like burning fossil fuel in the car engine, it also causes acid rain and global warming. Chlorofluorocarbon, air condition, aerosol spray, refrigerator, plastic, paint industry, they'll give you this kind of waste, and it will destroy the ozone layer and causes global warming. And you know, ozone layer destruction means the ultraviolet ray, it will come to the world directly, and it will causes the skin cancer of the human population. So the pollutant, you need to remember the pollutant source and effect. Okay, so pollutant is carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, methane, sulfur dioxide, hydrocarbon, nitrogen dioxide, chlorofluorocarbon or CFC. So maximum is coming from the fossil fuel. Remember that methane is coming from the landfill site, cattle farm, marshy areas, and sulfur dioxide also burning coal, hydrocarbon also from the car engine, and this nitrogen dioxide also burning fossil fuel. Only the differences is that is chlorofluorocarbon gas, air condition, aerosol spray, refrigerator, plastic and paint industry. See, all the things, the sources are mainly we are using for our comfort life. So comfortable life, the science has given us a comfortable life, and it has taken many things from the environment also, right? And if you have noticed our ecosystem, I told you that this lockdown process has given many things also. It has taken many things, it has given also. Nowadays that air pollution rate has decreased, and the scientists are telling our air becomes like 500 years before the pollution level at present is going back to like that. The amount of carbon dioxide emission has been less, smoke particle has less, air become pure, and it will decrease the amount of asthmatic patient, and the lung diseases also has reduced. So we have less than 1 minute. I'll come back to the class. Are you ready with the past paper, boys?
Yes.
Okay, so I have a few more topics to explain. Then yes, I'll give you the link again because I have less than 1 minute.
Which year, the past paper?
That is
16.
16 for 3 major.
Okay.
Yes,
I'll discuss
16.
about that. So just let me end this meeting, okay? I will come back to you.
Sure.
Welcome, boys. This is our second session because I have to send you the link again. We are talking about the pollution, right? I discussed about the source and effects of the pollution of the air. Now I want to talk about the greenhouse effect. First, you need to know that what is the greenhouse effect? You know this, the radiant energy reaching the earth from the sun, including the visible light, short-wave radiation, and the infrared radiation, which is the longer wave radiation, which warms up the sea and the land. As it is warmed, the earth radiates infrared radiation back towards the space. However, much of this heat does not escape from our atmosphere. Some of this reflected back to the clouds, and much is absorbed by the gases in the atmosphere, which are warmed. This is very important that without it, the surface temperature would be very cold for the life on the exist on the earth. But too much absorption would increase the temperature. And what is the enhanced greenhouse effect? First of all, increased level of the greenhouse gases, especially carbon dioxide and methane, result more heat trapped in the atmosphere, leading to global warming. Increasing global temperature will melt the polar ice cap, causing flood and especially the low-lying land. And it will change the weather condition. In some countries, increasing flooding or reduce the rainfall, changing the arable land. It will turn into desert. Extreme weather condition becomes more common. And also it will changes the agriculture practice. You need to be, or agricultural pattern also need to change because some pests will be more abundant. Higher temperature might allow some pests to complete the life cycle more quickly. It will also increases the coastal erosion. It will reduce the soil fertility due to the flood and the salt water. This also causes the extinction of some species that cannot survive in this that raised temperature. Wheat plants also increase for more carbon dioxide and heat. Extreme heat wave also causes forest fire. And this is the reason, that effect of greenhouse, and this greenhouse effect is created by human being. Now see that rainwater, which is slightly acidic due to the carbon dioxide dissolve, and the rainwater pH is nearly 5.5. Both sulfur dioxide and oxide of nitrogen dissolve in the rainwater. As a result, rainwater becomes more acidic, which might makes the lower pH, right? And slowly this will cause acid rain, because when nitrogen will combine with oxygen, it will form nitrogen oxide. When nitrogen oxide will combine with oxygen, it will form nitrogen dioxide. When nitrogen dioxide will combine with rainwater, like water, it will form nitric acid. So this is the way acid rains are creating. And what is the effect of acid rain? The most common question in the past paper: damage to the plant, corrosion of the stonework on buildings, soil microorganisms get killed, soil pH decreased as a result, more mineral ions from the participants, so the plant cannot absorb absorb them. Through the precipitation, this more ion will come, mineral ions, due to this decreased pH. When acid rain falls on the soil, large number of mineral ions will be leached to the water bodies. As a result, the soil becomes infertile. Aquatic animals will die due to the low pH and accumulation of some metal ions like soluble aluminum ions. This will stick to the gills of the fish and kill them. And the loss of habitat leads to extinction of the species, so which reduces the biodiversity. And what is the ways that you can reduce the acid rain, boys? I need the feedback, this answer from you. Could you please tell me minimum 2 ways?
Use the burning of sulfur.
Sorry?
Reduce the burning of sulfur containing coals.
Use more renewable energy sources, right? And one more?
Yes.
Very important thing.
And use chimneys on the power station, I guess.
Scrubber, not chimney.
Oh, sorry.
Power station
Scrubber.
chimneys to remove the most of the sulfur dioxide present in the waste gases. And I want more points from you. You told that low sulfur fuels. You told about the scrubbers and more. Alternative and renewable sources of energy, such as wind energy, solar energy, wave power. Also, we had a talk about that. Now, tell one of the very important points.
Biofuel, using biofuel.
Sorry. Again, yes, try.
Use biofuel.
Biofuel, okay, biofuel, I will talk about this. Biofuel has both the problem, because it's carbon neutral, we are telling it, but energy is less. See, boys, the most important point you have missed, that is use catalytic converters in car exhaust. You forgot, right?
Oh, yes.
It converts oxide of nitrogen
yes.
to carbon dioxide.
No.
It's very important. I told you, when this special will come for 2 marks, you have to give catalytic converter and scrubber. These are the 2 most important points. And after that, if the 3 marks, 4 marks is coming, then another one you will give, like low sulfur fuel, reduce the use of coal, alternative and the renewable sources of energy, or designing the furnaces in which the fuel can be burned at a lower temperature and producing less acidic gases. Now, another two important points. One is biodegradable substances and one is non-biodegradable substances. I want the answer from all of you. Anyone from you can you tell me what is biodegradable substances?
The substances which can be
The substances that do not decay.
that can be decomposed in the nature, like
Yes, that can be broken
naturally.
down.
yeah. And
Example?
Example,
Plastics.
Hey, plastic will break down.
Plastic
Plastic.
is non-biodegradable.
Plastic.
example,
Sorry.
food.
Yes. Food refuse,
Yes.
the leftover food, right? The one you are eating, that will turn into feces. Okay, so tree leaves, wood, cloth, cow dung, food refuse, agricultural residue, urine,
Cow
feces,
dung.
these are all, yes, these are all biodegradable substances because these substances are broken down by the biological processes and are said to be biodegradable. These substances are decomposed through the action of the fungus, bacteria, and other decomposers. Non-biodegradable substances, what is this? I need the answer.
Substances-
from-
The one which does not break down.
Yes,
Yeah.
through the biological processes. And these substances, actually, it
Pollution.
can be in solid, liquid, or gaseous form. Now, I want the
Yes.
example of this non-biodegradable substances.
Plastic.
Good. More.
Yes.
I want more examples.
Polythene bags.
Excellent.
the
Polythene bags,
plastic bag.
plastics.
Plastic, kind of plastic. Yeah.
Yes.
Heavy metals, tell the heavy metals name.
What else?
What? Metals.
Metals,
I don't know.
heavy metals, not all the metals like lead, mercury, arsenic, aluminum, insecticide, pesticide, radioactive waste, glass. So there are many non-biodegradable substances. I think you are not revising nowadays, because if the school is going to conduct the assessment or the British Council is giving any assessment, what will be the condition? You shouldn't stop your studies. Now,
I didn't stop.
but the feedback is not enough.
Yes.
Discuss the effect of non-biodegradable plastic in the environment in both aquatic and terrestrial ecosystem. See, these are the point from your that syllabus. Non-biodegradable plastics are not broken down by decomposers when dumped in the landfill site. This means they will remain in the environment, taking up the valuable space and causes visual pollution. When this waste will dump in one area, you can see in the underdeveloped country, like even the developing country like Bangladesh, so many waste has been dumped in one place. First of all, it will create a visual pollution. And dumping this waste affecting the
Yes.
soil fertility and subsequently reduces the crop yield. It will block the drainage system, it gets piled up, and as a result, the movement of animals also affected, especially the stray cats, dog. When plastic is burned, it will produces the toxic gases, and if you choke, you can be unconscious also. The fragment, into this tiny pieces of this waste, which eaten by the fish and birds, sometimes they could be ill. And discarded plastic bottles can trap the small animals. Nylon fishing lines and the net can trap the birds and mammals, and it can kill them. This, they are inert and simply persistent in the environment for a long time and harm the various number of the ecosystem. Now, this is the biodegradable and non-biodegradable substances. Now I want to talk about the negative impact of female contraceptive hormone in the water or water pollution. See, nowadays, due to as a birth control process, females are taking some birth control pill, which is actually a hormone. So when the women are taking this hormone, this extra hormone goes in their body, and also some of the hormones they are excreting through their urine. When women use this contraceptive hormone, actually this pill contain mainly estrogen and progesterone. And when they have excreted this hormone through the urine, it becomes available in the sewage. So the process of sewage treatment does not extract this hormone. So they end up in the water system such as river, lake, and the ocean. And it affects the aquatic organism And as they enter the food chain, like male frogs and fish can be feminized, and they can start producing egg in their tested instead of the sperm. So create an imbalance between the number of the male and female animals. There will be more they will act more female like than the male. Drinking water extracted from rivers can also contain the hormone. This will not go. And this has been shown that they reduce the sperm count in the man, causing a reduction of and creating the infertility problem. And the scientist has observed last 20 years, the sperm count level of the man has decreased a lot. And this might be one of the big reasons that the pollution of water with this female hormone. And one of the important things that I did discuss, that is sewage treatment. And there are lots of steps. Boys, you don't need to memorize the whole. First, the screening, you know that the raw sewage, there are a few steps, right? So first, the sewage, the first step is screening. The raw sewage has been passed through the metal grid, which is called screening. It traps the large object like rocks, stone, plastic, ooze, any large object has been trapped through the screening. Then there is the chamber, we called it grid settling tank. The sewage next flows slowly through the long channel. As it flows, grit and sand in it settle down to the bottom and are removed from time to time. The grit is washed and used for landfill. And after that, it goes to the first settlement tank. The liquid continuous flow through another series of the tank. About 40% of the organic matter settle out as a crude sludge. The rest of the organic matter with the liquid pass to the aeration tank. The semi-liquid sludge from the bottom. See, if you observe the diagram, there is a bottom tank. We called it anaerobic digester or the sludge digester. And in this digester, there is no air. So all the bacteria need the air has been killed. Anaerobic bacteria feed on the organic matter and produce organic acid and alcohol. Finally, methylogenic bacteria convert this to methane and water. Methane gas can use as a fuel or the biogas. The remaining sludge can be used as a fertilizer. This is the bottom tank. And the top one where you have kept this, from the channel, from the primary settlement tank, it is, the top layer is coming to the aeration tank. This point is coming 5-mark question in the past paper. The whole breakdown process of the aeration tank, it is coming in the past paper. 3-4 times it came as a 5-mark question. So you have to memorize this point very clearly. So oxygen is added to the sewage liquid either by stirring it or by bubbling, compress the air through it. Aerobic bacteria and protoctista grow and reproduce rapidly in this condition. These microorganisms clump the organic particles together. Enzymes from the bacteria digest the solids and the soluble particles, which are absorbed by the bacteria and used for their energy and for their growth, right? Dissolved substances in the sewage are also used in the same way. Different bacteria turn the urea into ammonia, ammonia into nitrate, nitrous into nitrogen gas. The bacteria derive this energy through these chemical changes. The protoctista eat the bacteria, and in this way, the suspended solid and dissolved substances in the sewage are converted to nitrogen, carbon dioxide, which has come from the respiration, and also cytoplasm of bacteria and protoctista, leaving fairly pure water. And see, the second settling tank, microorganisms sink, the sludge at the bottom, which is called activated sludge, and return to the aeration tank to maintain the population of the microorganism. The sewage stays in the aeration tank nearly 6 to 8 hours. But the recycling of the activated sludge allows the microorganism to act on it for 20 to 30 days. And finally, that clean water after chlorination, it will release to the environment and you will get it. Now, I have a question. If the water, that sewage treatment was not working and we are leaving this contaminated water in the river, what could be the effect? Effect of releasing untreated sewage into the river, or the treated sewage in the river. You have treated the sewage and you have released the treated sewage or the fairly pure water to the river. What could be the effect? Untreated or treated, anyone?
Answer is 1.
What is the answer?
um, the fish will suffer.
See,
The aquatic
cost of fail, untreated sewage will create some waterborne disease, right? Like cholera, typhoid, dysentery. If you treat the sewage, you can prevent the spread of waterborne diseases, right? It also avoid the pollution from harmful substances, which may cause this eutrophication. And this effluent, right? It will be safe and there will be no smell. You can drink water. You can boil the water and drink, and you will not get any smell. Have you noticed, boys, that when we went to Bangladesh, the water sort of test, right? The test is not same like here. Do you notice that?
Yes.
Huh?
Yeah.
Sometimes, many of the students, they're telling that they need 2-3 days to adjust. Even they're buying the water from outside also. If the boil, it is pure, the water is pure, but the taste and the smell of water is not like here, right?
Yeah.
And that industrial chemical also could be very toxic for the river organism. Recycling of the water, that the water so that you can drink and make it renewable. So untreated sewage could create a dangerous problem. You can avoid this by treating sewage and releasing them into the river. And see that discarded rubbish, domestic waste, it could be from town, several thousand people can cause disease and pollution if you are not removing them from that adding to that environment. So the source and effect of discarded rubbish. See, the source and effect, if you're talking about the source and effect, see, the domestic waste from a town of several thousand people can cause disease and pollution, it will fill in the landfill site, taking up the valuable space, polluting the ground, and attracting the different kind of insect which can spread diseases. Different types of items like which we're using for packaging, which is not recycled, we're not recycling this, ended up in the landfill site. Or if you are burning also, they will create air pollution. If you're not burning, they will remain long time in the environment, create this biodegradable, that non-biodegradable substance problem. Discarded rubbish that ends up into the ocean, that also causes severe problem in the marine ecosystem. So boys, this is our today's lecture. Still today I couldn't start the past paper as you have told me to explain ecology, no problem. Next class, it means tomorrow, same time I have a class, I will solve 43 past paper, okay?
Okay, miss.
Okay, and today is this
Okay,
much,
okay.
and thank you.
Thank you, miss.
Thank
Thank you, miss.
Thank you. Bye.